Wishing you'd come back to me. Softly as a gentle breeze, flowing through my mind.
Dzień dobry Państwu. Witam.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
I bardzo Państwu dziękuję, że zaszczyciliście nas
Thank you for coming here and honoring us with your presence in this presentation of Budimex 2023 results. We would like to invite you for a short video that shows our achievements in 2023. New contracts. Detention Reservoir Kutczyn. Railways, roads, bypass of Zabierzów. New railway in Podhale region. Renovation of A1. E3 Baltic Hub Container Terminal. The Tri-City Bypass, Opera Nowa in Bydgoszcz. Footbridge in Warsaw. Warszawa Zachodnia Station. Port Gdynia. Elk Station. Gas pipe in Warsaw. Electricity plant in Kawęczyn. Expressway Modlin-Czosnów. Highway S1. Bypass of Święcim. Finished projects. Szczecin, Teatr Polski. Bridges, roads. Bus station in Lublin. Budimex abroad. Concrete stairs imprinted in 3D technology. A robot on the side of a hospital, building of hospital in Krakow. ESG strategy. Our charity projects. We've finished the 3rd edition of Super Leader. Budimex Team, a new ambassador project. Budimex Polish Road Builders Champion in volleyball. Budimex in MSCI Poland. New program of internship. Traco Fair. Economic Forum in Karpacz. Budimex Mobility. 158 loaders. Warsaw Kraków. We bought 100% of shares in Constalex. 2nd place in Steel Lion Award. FB Service projects. BXF Energia. We created a new energy company. These are only some of our achievements. The 2024 will bring more of these. More awards.
Dzień dobry jeszcze raz.
Once again, good morning. I would like to present the ones who are here with us. Anna Karyś, HR Director, Member of Management Board. On the left, Alvaro Garcia, CEO of FB Service. Jacek Lech, CEO of Warsaw Kraków. Maciej Olek, Member of Management Board, responsible for Railway and Energy. Marcin Węgłowski, CFO of the group, and Cezary Łysenko, responsible for General Construction and Civil Construction.
konferencji na
Ladies and
stają się
gentlemen, those videos are getting larger and larger as we have more and more to say. We're trying to show you as much as we can. 2023 brought to Budimex many satisfactory moments. Those were difficult times, and we decided to diversify our portfolio, go abroad, and enter new segments. It has been an exceptional year in every extent, development and the numbers we achieved. Let me show you at the beginning the key numbers that we would like to present. Record-breaking revenue, 9.8 billion zlotys, more than 14% of growth in that extent, EBIT 8%, and net cash 3.8 billion. We're very happy about our contract signed, 8.2 billion of value of the contract signed, but the key number here is 13 billion at the end of 2023 awaiting signature. We had 13 billion of contract when our bid was the best and waiting the signature of the contract. Later on, we're going to comment on that. Some of those contracts are already signed. Another important element are 8 billion zlotys. These are bids placed abroad. Also, we achieved some strategic goals. So we increased our scale on neighboring markets. In 2023, we were present in 2 markets, Germany and Slovakia. In 2023, we've already had our offers chosen in Czech Republic, detention reservoir Kutrin, 113 million, and also Rail Baltica in Latvia. We are rebuilding the portfolio in the rail market, which is a great success. The last 2 years has been very challenging, and we managed to rebuild some of the portfolio. We increased our competence in renewables. We have first wind farm operating. It started in September. We are already selling the electricity generated, and we are carrying out 2 more projects. Purchase of the company Constalex, successful purchase for Mostostal Kraków. Thanks to that acquisition, we're leader of the steel structures in Poland, which gives us great handicap. Also, we can boast on 160 chargers of Budimex Mobility in whole Poland. This is already March, so we would like to present our achievement after 2 months of 2024. These are 5 key events of 2024 to boast. 5 tenders for Expressway S10.
Bardzo istotny element,
It's a very important
osiągnięcie, które
element, an achievement that we had in December,
problem pozyskać kontrakty w segmencie
considering the
w grudniu.
great competitiveness in contracts. We had a lot of problems to gain some new contracts. There were 8 bids placed in one day. 5 of those we managed to win. This is a considerable amount. In total, 2.3 billion zlotys, 73 kilometers of road. Another part, we started a cooperation with real estate companies. We were subcontractors until now, and now we want to co-finance and carrying out some real estate projects. First project is in Poznań, more than 400 apartments. The next element is a completely new segment in our activities, energy network, energy transmission network. One of our strategies, we want to grow in this segment because we're aware of the money that is going to be invested in this segment. Our grid is very old, so we are going to develop this part of our company. One of our bids has been chosen, the one for 189 million zlotys. Also, we're working on some projects in renewables. We are analyzing projects of 1.5 gigawatts in total. And what is the most prestigious for us, the best award we could have imagined. After more than 20 years, we received information that our company is entering WIG20 index. I would like to give my thanks to our employees who were invested in this project. Thank you all. Also, thanks to the shareholders and thanks to our clients. And I would like to remind you that our company has more than 55 years of history. We're one of the oldest companies in Warsaw Stock Market. In 2023, we entered some index such as MSCI or FTSE Russell and Wisdom Tree. We're a dividend company. For 15 years already we have paid dividends. Also, we improve our profitability year by year. After this short introduction, I will give floor to Marcin. Please tell us something about macroeconomic data. We're starting with inflation at GDP. 2023, high inflation. In the first quarter, even almost 20%. At the end of the year, it looks like it's decreasing. Next year seems better. Inflation, thanks to the high base, inflation is going to, core inflation is high, so the general inflation is going to be decreasing. GDP was almost zero in 2023. We're counting on an improvement in next year, more than 3% of growth, perhaps. The interest rates are not changing, and when the inflation is going to stabilize, the interest rates are going to be adjusted. The PMI for Poland still below 50. We cannot break this barrier. 47.4 at the end of the year. Construction production was really good in December. 14%, but only 5% in the whole year, distributed unevenly among different segments. Main segment is obviously roads and railways. General construction is seeing some decreases. So the construction companies that are centered in the general construction are going to have it difficult, unlike Budimex. In 2024, we are foreseeing some decrease in the whole of market, construction market. Maybe the civil works are going to be saved. In general perspective, are quite good. The European funds are coming. The recovery plan has been activated, so 2025-2028 perspective is good. We're showing some trends for the next years, which are quite optimistic. Margins of construction companies. Some of you know this slide. This is EBIT profitability by the volume, by the size of the company. Up to 50 employees. Yellow line, medium companies, it's a red line, and big construction companies is the gray line. We have more than 7,000 employees, but there is no category for us here. As you see, in 2023, the subcontractors were the ones who had highest margins. But for some years now, we've seen the stabilization in this market. It seems that all the companies are doing quite well in the construction market. Obviously, this is only statistics. Every company is different. It's different for road builders. It's different for general construction companies. Now, this is the lack of materials. We're asking up to what point materials and workforce can be an obstacle for development of the companies. As we see, while the dynamics of the GDP and the production are falling, also the lack of materials on the market is falling, and other costs that may be considered an obstacle. Considering workforce, the accessibility is higher, but the companies still consider that the workforce cost is a obstacle. This is because of the increase of the minimum wage, which affects the profitability of construction companies. Also, especially the ones that do the general construction. Raw materials after some sharp increases in the last years, the situation seems to have stabilized. And we do not foresee sharp increases for the next year. This is going to stabilize. In long term, the production is going to grow. There are good perspectives because of the EU funds. 2024 is going to be a complicated year, but above all, there is going to be a stabilization. The GDP will return to its growth and rather an inflation close to inflation goal. Thank you. Let's move on to financial results of the group. We will start with a slide that describes the whole group. Budimex is not only Budimex SA. We're growing year after year. The last 2 years has been 7 new companies. I would like to tell you something about those companies. Let's start with the construction. We have Budimex with general construction, railway, roads and energy construction. Also Budimex Kolejnictwo, Budimex Budownictwo and Mostostal Kraków with Constalex that does not appear here. Foreign markets. We would like to tell you about Rail BX, a new company that's working for Deutsche Bahn in railway segment in Germany. This is the first Polish company with a certificate that lets us work, is a permit to work in German railway market. Required a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice, but we did it. We have 3 new branches in Czech Republic, Slovakia and Latvia that are supervising contracts on those markets. Renewables, BXF, Budimex Ferrovial Energia, launched in April last year. Budimex has 51% versus 49% of Ferrovial. We have Magnolia company that's already operating and Camellia in the building phase. Among others, we have Budimex Mobility that operates chargers, a huge success. There is a great progress year on year. Also, Budimex Parking Wrocław. There are more companies, but these are the key ones whose operations we see in the financial results. And now moving on to the key results. The revenues increased in 14%. In last 5 years, the medium level was between 5 and 7%. This year is 13% of increase, nearly touching 10 billion. Also, there was an increase of improvement of profitability. EBIT grew up to 8%. Net profit up to 7.54%. Here we can see the details of this effect. In the construction, the growth is 13.8% due to the high level of portfolio and also good weather that let us work. And the last months of the year were very good also because we signed an annex on additional works and also the indexation of our contracts. Very good EBIT, we've already mentioned, from 6 to 8%, thanks to good management of the costs. And also we managed to
naszych spółek, a więc
do it with the synergy effect. To use the synergy, use the whole volume of the company. If you see Warszawa Zachodnia, the catenary is by our workforce, and the steel construction is supplied by Mostostal Kraków. A very large scope is done with our own workforce, which helps us to improve the margin, but also there is a very well thought strategy of
trochę to bieg okoliczności, ale właściwie wzrosła również o 14%.
Purchases,
Bardzo dobry
material purchases.
przychodów. Trochę
The revenue also grew, EBIT not that much in services. Our CEO of FB Service is going to explain it in detail. This is basically because of the portfolio of road maintenance is much more complicated to indexate those contracts, which are 5 years contracts, and the indexation doesn't cover the costs of those contracts. And now, cash position, record-breaking year at the end of 2023, 3.8 billion. In June, we paid 480 million in dividend, and in spite of that, we have a very good level of cash. If we see the dividend history of Budimex, cumulatively, we've already paid 4.5 billion zlotys, which makes 179 zlotys per share. And we still are going to pay our profit in dividend. And now the portfolio and contract signed. This is year after year the most important challenge for us. We depend on the portfolio. This year has been very difficult, full of challenges, and there were two elements that mattered. First of all, high inflation that reduced the quantity of new bids in private sector, and also the lack of EU funds. Mainly it affected railway. At the end of the year, it was much better. There was some funding, transitional funding from national agencies.
Ten segment w kolorze zielonym to jest segment kolejowy. Możemy go porównać.
And the expectations now are quite better. As you see, the green bar is the railway contracts. In 2021 and 22, we didn't manage to sign nothing significant. And in 2023, in spite of the complicated situation, we did sign some contracts. Tychy Most Wisła being the key contract. So this transitional financing from national agencies and the first advance payments from recovery politics was a boost, but as you see, this makes our sector very dependable on EU funds. Key contracts that are in our portfolio are as follows. A1, 700 million. Number one reform. This year, next year, we're going to do some reform. Zabierzów bypass as part of the 79 national road.
i bardzo dobrze zdywersyfikowany portfel.
Also, there are many more
To
contracts.
był to rok, gdzie
Also, this year,
z agresywnymi ofertami na polskim rynku.
it's worth emphasizing that our huge problem was the competition and very aggressive bids placed by them, especially by some foreign companies that,
które powinny być
in our opinion, were below real costs of the project.
w poczekalni. To, o czym wspomniałem,
Contracts waiting signature.
mamy bardzo komfortową sytuację.
We are very comfortable this year, more than 13 billions
Celowo pokazaliśmy
at the end of 2023. We're showing here also 2021 and 22. If you see the last years, there were between 3 and 4 billion zlotys of contracts awaiting signature.
5%.
I would like to
Spodziewamy się
emphasize that normally the 90% of those contracts are signed,
ponad 5 miliardów.
which makes us highly comfortable. And as you see, almost 5 billion are railway contracts and almost 6 billion are road contracts.
Slajd, który nas szczególnie cieszy, szanowni państwo.
This slide makes us extremely happy. It brings our company to another level, to another league.
Jak wyglądało to rozbicie tych 13 miliardów.
It shows those 13 billion in Poland and abroad. Let me tell you about Rail Baltica contracts, the green one. We're in a joint venture with IFASH and Rizzani. The contract was signed on 22 of December. We're starting the works this year. The inauguration is going to take place in May. We're not expecting revenues this year, so it is shown as a awaiting signature contract, but it is signed. The whole contract is 3.7 billion euros, and our share is 37%. We have two big contracts in Czech Republic, B11 Trutnov. We've been chosen 2 times already by the client as the best bid. The competition has opposed. They put a claim. The claim is awaiting the resolution, and we have D35 expressway already signed in the last weeks. So this is not a contract awaiting signature, it's already a contract signed. And now moving to Poland, LK 104, 965 million railway contracts in consortium, in joint venture with Gulermak. There is a tunnel in the scope of works, already signed last Friday.
Szanowni Państwo, przede wszystkim są to dla nas o tyle istotne kontrakty.
Those contracts are very important for us. Rail Baltica is for 8 years. The Czech Republic contracts or the tunnel contracts are pluriannual contracts between 4 and 6 years of execution, which gives us a comfortable situation in terms of backlog pipeline. We're not going to be forced to bid aggressively, and our work is guaranteed until 2026. Okay, so the question is, what happens to the prices in those contracts? I would like to emphasize that all contracts signed in Latvia and Czech Republic are indexated without limits of indexation, which is very advantageous for us, and those contracts are easier on the contractor than the Polish contracts, because as you may remember, in Poland there is a limit for the indexation. And now moving on to Czech and Slovak market. Please, Czarek, tell us something about those markets. Good morning. You can see here on the slide a history of our bid place. I would like to emphasize that we didn't use any external agencies or mergers or acquisitions. We did this by ourselves. Our people had to learn not only the ways of play in Czech and Slovak market, but also language. Some of them do speak those languages now. It has been 3 years. Now you see what is the value of our bids placed in Czech Republic, a gray bar, and Slovakia, green bar. In total, 11.5 billion of zlotys. And today we have more than 1.3 billion zlotys of contracts signed in those markets. The round chart, you have contracts signed in 2023, and Banów-Litomyśl from the right chart has moved to the left chart. We've already signed this contract, so it's officially in the portfolio. That's why I said it's 1.3 billion zlotys of road contracts. And we're still present in Germany, 5 German contracts, one already completed. As for the Czech market, we have the detention reservoir in Kutschin, which is 113 million zlotys. D1, D4, the crossing of the highways, which is very important for us, helps us build our workforce, our staff. The D1 Bratislava contract is our most important project, already advanced. The team is mixed, Slovak and Polish, and we are carrying it out to the satisfaction of the client. We're awaiting the signature of D11 Trutnov, 28 kilometers, 21 bridges, 2 tunnels, and the competition is doing their best to protest. They're using the arguments that the client is refusing to accept. We prepared a bid that fulfills all the requirements of the contract. We're awaiting the definitive decision so that we can sign the contract. Maciej Olek is going to tell us about Latvia contract. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As the CEO said, in December, we managed to sign this contract that we have been working on for 2 years almost. This is a long-term contract with more than 4 billion of production distributed between many years. We're awaiting the start of first works, the preparation of the facilities, logistics. it's the client who provides us with the material. So the value of the works is only works without materials. If it hadn't been for that, the amount would be much higher. So as our boss had said, we're not expecting any high revenue from this contract, but in next years, it's going to serve as a stable base of our works in Baltic countries. Our branch in Riga is going to analyze some other contracts in those markets. We're present in Latvia. In next years, there are big projects foreseen in Lithuania. And we have a company, Budimex Kolejnictwo, completely independent in terms of machinery and own resources. So we are going to analyze projects in other countries too. And let's hope there are going to be more projects gained in Baltic countries. Thank you. Adding to those words, I would like to emphasize that we're watching the roads and railway contracts in neighboring countries. We would like to center on big contracts of considerable value that are the best for us. That's why, as Czarek had said, the competition is trying to prevent us getting those contracts. We can see how the neighboring markets are. We started to work on those markets 3 years ago. It took us almost 3 years to get those contracts. It has been tough work, hard work to sign those contracts. And now moving on to backlog. As you see, more than 13 billion zlotys, very diversified. Similar to 2021 and 22 for almost every segment. Seeing that, you may think that we didn't achieve anything special here, but this is not very accurate, because the last year we've done 2 billion zlotys more of production. And so if it hadn't been for that, our backlog would have been at 15 billion. At the right, you can see the maturity of the backlog, but this does not include the contracts awaiting signatures. So this is not showing the comfortable situation we're in terms of new contracts. And now moving on to roads. Czarek. In Poland, the history of contracts signed, as you see, it varies. 17 billion of tenders. Budimex submitted the lowest bid in 10 tenders. 5 of them were for the expressway S10. We won 5 out of 8 sections of one expressway. The general direction of roads is going to review its plans we have a new general director, Paweł Woźniak, appointed yesterday, and we're awaiting the meeting with Mr. Paweł Woźniak to get to know how it's going to be reviewed and how it's going to be changed. But as you've already known, we have a very diversified portfolio and a very robust portfolio between roads, railways, hydrotechnical buildings. So we're very optimistic about next years. Thank you, Czarek.
Tak, jeśli chodzi o rynek kolejowy i podsumowanie roku 2020.
As for the rail market, it has been a tough year. The main challenge has been the rebuilding of the portfolio, because in 2021 and 2022 there was almost no new contract signs for us, and we had managed to reunite a big potential. So our goal was to recreate the portfolio. And thanks to the circumstances that we've already told, we managed to sign Tychy Most Wisła and the launching chamber for a railway line in Łódź. So thanks to the end of the year, we managed to fulfill our goal. Also, we signed an annex for the indexation of contracts with PKP PLK. In the road contracts, there was earlier some indexation agreed. In railway, it was much slower. So only at the end of the year, we managed to raise the indexation limit up to 10%. We've carried out big projects such as Czechowice-Dziedzice Station. Gdynia Port is being finished, and Warszawa Zachodnia, very popular especially in the media. We're carrying out. I think the tracks and platforms are going to be inaugurated before the new school year. Let's hope so. We as a company always try to do our work as quick as possible. So I obviously understand that everyone is waiting impatiently for the inauguration, but this is a huge station working, 700 trains, and there is also a tunnel in the scope of works which brings some surprises in the ground. So please, we ask you for a little bit of patience, us and the two investors that we have, because this is PKP and Warsaw Tram. So we're doing everything possible to finish this project, and it's not much left here. So also there are some other projects. Elk Station is getting finished, so we are doing our best to continue growing, expanding our portfolio. And we know how that is important, because PKP PLK can be very challenging in terms of new contracts. We have already signed a railway contract for the transport hub in Baranów, which is a launching chamber in Łódź. We're waiting the bid for the tunnel. We also managed to win energy contracts for the railway catenary, which is an important element of our strategy. And here our aim is to match our competence as a construction company and energy company. Last year, we've done a lot of works by our own workforce, especially in terms of the catenary. We already have resources to do 100% of the catenary works, and the grid we are going to be able to do by ourselves. And we're going to grow on those scopes. And our aim is to carry out independently the whole scope of the works in vastly interpreted term of energy for railway. It has been a big step for our railway division. And in the first months of this year, we've already signed some big contracts, 104 railway line, and there are more awaiting. We hope that the activation of EU funds is going to accelerate the signing of new contracts. And now my other division, energy segment, may be not very noticeable in comparison to other segments, but we see it as a future, and all the activities we're doing as a company, as my boss have already said, are taking into account the growth and investment that we foresee in the grid infrastructure or nuclear energy or district heating. These are going to be elements that we're going to work on the next months. We've already have some structures in our company to get some new contracts. There already are some awaiting signature. Those plans are very ambitious, and we really hope that the client is going to put some order in those plans. GDDK or PLK are used to publish some annual or pluriannual plans for the investment. PSA hasn't done it already, but I think there is an intention on their part to do this. We've already seen a list of possible future contracts. Transmission lines and substations, and the list that they're showing is indicating that the next years are going to be very interesting, and there is going to be many work to do in this energy market. What we want to achieve here is to control the scope of the works in order to give the quality and the quality required of the works, because this is a very complicated segment of the construction, but our intention is to grow. And now, general construction. As you know, our position in general construction in Poland is solid. We've had 2.3 billion zlotys of production revenue in this segment, record-breaking year, and we have almost 3.2 billion in the portfolio. Residential building and in general construction has not been easy and is not going to be easy, but the difficult contracts are behind us, like the Museum of History of Poland. Also, Budimex is watching closely different types of general construction. As we said, it's joint venture when we are going to co-invest, and we are looking for some new partners, and we found already one
Bardzo dziękuję.
here. And now FB Service, Alvaro.
Dzień dobry Państwu. Rok 2020.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. 2023 has been a good year for FB Service. In revenues, we gained 924 million, 100 million more than the last year, the year before. This increase of the revenue is because of road maintenance and building maintenance. The environmental division has had an 8% of growth. In EBITDA, the value is similar to 2022, 137, which is 2 percentage points less than 2022. It's because of the cost pressure. In the pluriannual contracts, in spite of having signed annexes in the contracts with general direction, we weren't able to mitigate all risks. In the road division, we finished some little construction contracts that gave us losses, and we decided to concentrate only in road maintenance. In terms of EBIT, there's 81 million because of the depreciation of assets. And the last number is the cash position. The number indicated at the end of 2023 includes the payment of the dividend for the first time in history to our shareholder. These were 55 million of dividends. So considering that, it's very satisfactory, the cash position the company has. As far as the key facts in the recent months, we'd like to tell you that we're in the first place in 2 bids, 86 million net worth and 80 million net worth. Also, in the environmental division, there's the collection and waste management in Poznań. Value of the bid is 36 million. In terms of directions of development in the waste segment, FB Service is going to invest in the assets they have, and we're going to extend the installation in Tarnów. We're going to expand. We've already chosen the contractor, in this case being Warsaw Stock Exchange. Good synergy in the group. We've managed to find a contractor in the group for our works. We're awaiting the change of the permits for this installation.
Działalność na ta instalacja, pomimo tam
The authorities of the Krakow region is expected to give us all the
Również dla nas
permits.
jest kluczowe aktywa w ramach tej działalności środowiskowej, pasy logistyczne, które
Other key asset is the logistic base that we have. We're working on 3 of those in Poznań and Łódź. We already have our
teraz w trakcie
our
oczekiwania pomocy na te basy logistyczne.
our not to fund some logistic base. The next scope of works is going to be treatment of the bio-waste and the RDF fuel production, which we are going to expand by using hazardous waste. For those 2 types of waste, plus the classification of construction waste, we are analyzing 3 greenfield projects on our own plots and 1 M&A. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Przejdziemy do spółki Mostostal Kraków.
Let's move on to Mostostal Kraków.
Serdecznie, szanowni państwo.
Good morning, everyone.
2023 dla Mostostalu był.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2023 for Mostostal has been a historic, exceptional year in many scopes, starting from the financial results. In terms of revenues, we ended 2023 at the level of 544 million, which is more than in 2022, which has been also a bumper year. In terms of contract signed, we achieved 531 millions of robust portfolio.
Jeżeli chodzi o gotówkę, rok 2023 zakończyliśmy naprawdę.
Net cash ended at high level of cash, in spite of 2 factors that may have affected it. First is the acquisition of Constalex from our own resources and an investment program we are carrying out, which helped us increase the potential and reduce the cost of the operation of the plant. After a hard 2022, our margin is back. We finished 2023 with 9.4 million.
15 maja zakupiliśmy.
On May 15th, we bought 100% of shares in Constalex company, and we may call ourselves leader in terms of production and supply of the steel structures in Poland. So we changed a little bit our commercial politics, our policies, and we have already had some effects. We've signed a big contract in Lithuania with 6,000 tons of steel structure for a local client, supply and assembly of the structure, Constalex being the supplier here. Going back to Constalex, after 6 months of consolidation of results and the operational management, I must say that the reality we have is much above our visions at the stage of M&A. The revenues are much higher than the
ubiegłych.
average numbers from the last years.
2023 chcemy zakończyć.
EBIT is expected to end at 6.2% in 2023. We have a secure backlog and cash levels, and we started some investment programs. Just like on our plant in Krakow, we want to optimize cost-wise and also expand the potential so that we could produce more and give more revenue.
W roku 2023, które osiągnęliśmy, dzięki temu
All of that was achieved
fundament do tego.
in 2023 and is a solid base for the growth in 2024. So we're very optimistic about next month. Thank you very much. Adding to my colleague, I would like to emphasize that the company collaborates with our group, but 70% of the revenues comes from external clients, which is very important. We supply steel structures to Germany. We supply steel structures to England. So this growth has been very dynamic. And now, market and perspectives. Me and my team, as always, are very optimistic. Our strategy is long-term one, and in long term, we want to see what's going to happen in Poland and abroad. This slide you've already seen in the last presentation, and that's because we don't have any current governmental plans. This is what the last government has announced. But obviously we are waiting the new plans from GDDK, PKP, our main clients. I believe that those plans are going to be achieved. This country is developing fast. We need investment. So, roads. I would like to emphasize that at the end of 2023, our road network was 5,200 roads. And there are 3,000 kilometers of expressways awaiting. 294 billion zlotys. There's a 100 bypasses program that is going to continue. There was an information that we have some failure of the funding, but we've been informed that the funding is going to be activated. I think we have 3 of those bypasses in our portfolio, so we're very optimistic about it. In the railway, as you see, you have the transport hub, which is a very hot topic that there are lots of questions, lots of doubts, and we're awaiting the analysis from the government for the airport itself. But as you know, apart from the airport, there are other elements, mainly the railroads, which are unquestionable by government or by the public. We have the energy segment also, just as Maciek said, this is strategic for our country, something we need to do from the first day on. This we think is going to be one of the key divisions in our company. The grid, the nuclear plants, and we want to participate actively in those works. We've already started toward it, but also the green energy. If you think about offshore, we signed a contract last year and we are executing a port in Świnoujście for Orlen. So it's 1 trillion zlotys until 2028. And now passing on to EU funds, because all those investments cannot be carried out without EU funds. We have the Cohesion Fund, Phoenix Fund already activated, and we're very happy about it. Very good information from our government. There are contracts announced and there are contracts being signed. If you see the Phoenix program, you see the amounts, adding railways and roads, you see that the amount is very similar. So the part of the investment that we participate in is comparable to the 14-20 years. National Recovery Plan, without entering every sector, we've already heard a lot about National Recovery Plan. There has been 60 billion of euros activated already. We as a group, we see some areas that amount to 30 billion, more or less. Normally, 25% comes to us. So from 30 billion is going to the part that we're going to participate actively. And now, moving on to renewables, I've already talked about it. We have a new company, BXF Energy. We're carrying out Camellia project for 14 megawatts photovoltaic farm. And we're now placing applications for connection for 150 megawatts. Also, I would like to tell you that our strategy for the next 4 years is that we achieve more than 500 megawatts, and we're not going to achieve that without mergers and acquisitions. We're studying one company, which is a photovoltaic farm of 60 megawatts, and in the next years, I think we're going to sign this contract. And now, housing market. We've done our first step to get back to the real estate. We've signed the first project, joint venture with Apricot, 75/25 Budimex. And Apricot, we're going to build 400 apartments in Poznań. We've already done some projects with Apricot and had some transactions in real estate. I would like to tell you that we're open for landowners that don't know what to do about it. Obviously, city land. We can restructure, we can commercialize, we offer better condition than just buying the plot. Apricot is in this business. We earn money, they earn money. The margin is good in the general construction for us. This is a win-win situation. If you know someone who has a plot of land in a good place, please visit us. Everyone is going to be satisfied. We're not only limiting ourselves to residential projects. We are interested in data center plots, logistics centers, but in a very, very good place. Thank you. It sounds really good. And now, moving on to Budimex Mobility. Budimex Mobility, it has been second year of operations of this company. We used our competence in the road building to place some chargers. We have already 150 chargers activated. Having achieved all we proposed, we raised our goal, so we are going to be among the first 5 companies that operate chargers in Poland, with 460 chargers in main cities. And we see that there's a really good place to start this business. And now, moving on to ESG, we've announced our ESG strategy, and we would like to be held accountable on our declarations. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to remind you that from September 2019, Budimex is on a WIG ESG index. In June of last year, we announced our strategy, and we're going to summarize the goals we announced. The strategy is up to 2026, and here's the summary of last year. In terms of sustainability, we plan to get 100% of energy from renewables. We've consumed 20,600 megawatt hours, all of them from renewables. In terms of social part of the ESG, the diversity is very important for us, and we've done some actions on promoting diversity. We've done 4 diversity campaigns in terms of age, different cultures. We've done some international exchange. 14% went to Great Britain, Australia, and Spain for internship. We also collaborated with students and interns, some of them being from Ukraine. People are the most important for us, and in terms of employees' development, is a very important element. We assume 7 million zlotys for development and training, and we managed to invest 8.5 million. We have 14 big development programs, such as Super Leader Engineering Academy, Site Manager Academy, Economical Employee Academy, which are our intern positions, where we promote internally our employees. And we have also a project designed for women. Success in construction. There is an important goal for us, which is safety. In terms of safety, occupational safety, we planned 364 visits of the management on site, and we carried out 576 management visits on the site. Every May we have a safety week on the site, and last year we also carried it out. There were events on 94% of the contract. promoting safety
Zapytaliśmy
culture.
również wzrost zdarzeń,
We
zgłoszeń zdarzeń
also
potencjalnie wypadkowych i
assumed
w
there
tym
would be
aspekcie
more
osiągnęliśmy również wzrost o
near
50%.
misses observed, and
Istotną
there
kwestią
was
dla nas
an
jest już
increase
od
in
wielu lat
50%.
wspieranie systemu edukacji.
We've been also
Bardzo mocno współpracujemy
helping to
z
support the
uczelniami
educational
wyższymi
system.
na
We've
terenie
been
Związku
collaborating with
Zakładaliśmy nawiązanie współpracy
universities in all of Poland.
szkołami średnimi.
We wanted to collaborate with at least 18 universities and
Udało się nawiązać
secondary technical schools,
19
and we managed to collaborate with 14 technical secondary schools and 19 universities.
142 wydarzenia to są te wydarzenia, które właśnie na uczelniach
We've carried out
szkołach średnich
many events,
zorganizowaliśmy.
142
Byliśmy
events.
uczestnikami
in
48
those
targów pracy,
facilities.
zorganizowaliśmy
We participated
na uczelniach.
in 48 work fairs. We've done lectures. We invited people to our sites, showing our
29 naszych
for-
kontraktach.
to
Do
students.
tego organizujemy różnego rodzaju konkursy na uczelniach, zapraszamy na staże i
We have internships
finansujemy stypendia. W
and
zakresie z kolei,
competitions for the
Ministerstwa
schools.
związanego z ładem korporacyjnym. Tutaj zakładaliśmy
In terms
aktualizację kodeksu
corporate
etyki.
governance, we
Faktycznie to się dokonało. Zbudowaliśmy
updated
zakres
the
dotyczący kodeksu
ethical
etyki.
code.
W zakresie konfliktu interesów również
We added
planowaliśmy
some-
przegląd procedur. On został
some
dokonany.
parts relating
wpisaliśmy
to
nowe zakresy w tych
conflict
procedurach.
of interest,
Również podręcznik.
new policies, new procedures. There's also a manual with instruction.
Zachować. Bardzo ważne dla nas jest
Information
działanie
how to
ryzykom,
act.
Korupcyjnym i tutaj w tym zakresie
We are trying to
w zeszłym
prevent
roku
corruption.
opracowaliśmy strategię komunikacji
We've
compliance.
worked on compliance strategy. We've given
roku 1200 osób
training
Planujemy
to
te szkolenia.
some of our
Planujemy
employees,
w tym roku,
and
zostało
we continue to train the
z
rest
tego zakresu
of
przeszkolić.
our employees
Ważne jest dla
in
nas
terms of
również,
compliance.
bezpieczeństwo i w tym zakresie
Cybersecurity is also important. We've done some projects
ochronę
to
danych osobowych nie tylko
protect
naszych, ale
personal
również naszych
data,
wykonawców. Opracowaliśmy
our
listę ryzyk,
personal
nasza
data and of our
zwiększość.
subcontractors. We've done some lists of risks and opportunities in terms of ESG, and we introduced management reporting in terms of cybersecurity.
Działania, wprowadzamy szereg nowych działań.
We're going to continue on all of this and implement some more strategies and policies to fulfill all the ESG goals in the next years. We are aiming to be a sustainable, modern company that supports the development of the economy, always caring about environment, which is our goal in terms of strategy. Thank you.
Bardzo dziękuję. Myślę, że warto wspomnieć.
Thank you very much. I would like to add that our priority is safety.
Jest to wyjątkowy rok.
The last year has been exceptional in terms of safety. We didn't have any fatal accident. First year like that in 10 years. There was no fatal accident on our side. We analyzed each and every accident
Przekraczały 5 miliardów złotych, a
to prevent them happening. And thanks to that,
W roku 2023 nasze przychody to
2023,
23
we've grown
i mieliśmy zaledwie
significantly, but there were less serious accidents and no fatal accident.
który pracował na naszej budowie, wrócił bezpiecznie do domu.
which means that every worker from our site has gone safely home after work.
15,000 osób.
And we've had 14 people working on all our site, which is a huge challenge and a goal for our team. So,
23 rok, ale wychodząc
to sum up the 2023 and
terminowe, szanowni państwo.
as far as the strategic short-term goals are, we have 5 of those.
Chcielibyśmy państwu zaprezentować. Pierwszy cel to
First of
w dalszym ciągu chcemy
those is keeping the leadership in the Polish market.
kontrakty i to w każdym
We
segmencie,
want to start
drogowym, kolejowym, energetycznym. Chcemy wejść
new projects,
to jest
PPP
jeden
projects,
z elementów, których nas nie ma.
which is one of the elements we're absent in. There are not many of those in Poland.
I tutaj bardzo przykładamy uwagi do rynku czeskiego. Tam
We
będzie w
are
tym roku duże postępy.
emphasizing, we're concentrating on Czech market, D35
Chcemy wejść w kontrakty
highway.
PPP. I widzimy tutaj dużą szansę.
We want to enter this PPP formula. We want to be investor and obviously the contractor
Inwestycji.
and a company who's going to do the maintenance of the road.
Nie planujemy.
We want to strengthen our foreign operations. We're not going to enter any new areas. No new markets are planned. As Maciek had said, we're going to think about Rail Baltica big projects. The whole scope of Rail Baltica is going to connect Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. In Estonia, there are no tenders
Bardzo dużym
yet,
Estonię na Litwę.
but we are interested in works there. We want to enter new areas of activity and strengthen the competence there. The grid transmission lines, nuclear energy. We want to enter new segment in general construction and to grow in renewables. So to sum up the 2023, it has been a very good year. We finished it with a very good feeling about the job we've done, and I'd like to thank my employees. Thanks to them, we managed to achieve all those results. Next year is going to be better because we're always aiming higher. Thank you very much. We're here to hear your questions. If you have any. Are there any questions here in the room, or maybe someone online is going to ask a question? Thank you very much. Thank you for the trust that the shareholders have placed in us, and thank you for allowing us to enter WIG20 index, which is very important for us, and we are going to keep your expectation high. Ladies and gentlemen, Michał Wrzosek, spokesman for Budimex. I will going to put your questions. We have 3 sources of questions. People here online. We also are going to answer questions sent before by the analysts. In first term, please feel invited to ask questions. There are our colleagues with microphones in the room. Elżbieta Paus, rynek giełdy struktury. I would like to ask the indexation of maintenance contracts. Is it being negotiated with clients or just awaiting them to end? And when the most problematic contracts are going to end?
Te rozmowy trwały przez cały ten rok 23. Ten poziom maksymalny, który udało się osiągnąć w przypadku kontraktu utrzymaniowy, to jest na poziomie 10%.
The maximum level of indexation is 10%. In most of those contracts we have signed
Targi, które składamy w tym roku, te warunki już
those annex, and we know the conditions of the new contracts. So we're taking into account all those conditions, but there are not going to be further changes. Next question.
Kapczyńska, Puls Biznesu.
Katarzyna Kapczyńska, Puls Biznesu.
Dla Baltic
P3 Baltic Hub. I would like to ask what's the
że będzie opóźnienie
status of the contracts. Are there going to be some delays? Also about FB service from January, there is going to be a deposit system for bottles. Are you going to enter this new system of deposit for packagings? We're going to start with the T3 Baltic Hub terminal, the biggest container terminal in the Baltic Sea. We're proud to be the contractor of that building. We're having 50% of works done and no delays detected.
Ułożyliśmy już większość sieci
We've already placed the electrical grid and building the buildings in the sport, and we're proud to participate in this huge contract, which gives us great references to bid abroad, in Germany, for example. Alvaro. In terms of the deposit of the packaging system, we are following up this topic. Part of the waste we are collecting, which is plastic and bottles, not going to be accessible anymore. This is going to make more and more complicated to fulfill the recycling levels expected by EU. We do not see this deposit system as an attractive idea of business for us. The model in Poland assumes few operators. There are a lot of loops in the knowledge. There are more risks than opportunities. So there are three possible directions for our business, and this topic is not one of them.
Dzień dobry, Rafał Zasuń,
Thank
portal Wysokie
you.
Napięcie PL.
Rafał Zasuń, Wysokie Napięcie.
Inwestycji w sektor energetyczny.
Investment in the energy sector and
Gdzie mamy cel
contract.
Budimexu.
We have this goal for Budimex, 1 billion in works. For which year? Is it only for PSE or some other types of contracts?
W jakichś przetargach organizowanych?
Are you participating in OSD contracts, and the other one is investment in renewables. What business model are you going to carry out? Auctions, businesses that participate in auctions, or farms prepared for PPA? Do you see some slowdown in the investment in this part of the market? Thank you. Let's start with energy. Thank you for your question. The 1 billion for the transmission network. I must say that this company is the best in terms of the execution of big and complicated contracts, and the transmission lines are one of those, or the construction of new substations are going to be some big projects. In terms of OSD, we've participated in some tenders, but there are two things needed. It depends on the strategy, and it depends on the strategy of the distribution companies. There are also some doubt about the future of the coal mining. Obviously, the modernization is needed, but there are some parts that we don't know. The unknown is mainly linked to the coal mining assets. We still don't have the potential to do transmission lines higher than 110 kilowatts. The renewables we see in the long term, so we're not seeing just the oscillations of last years. Obviously, the energy prices have this effect that everyone wants to invest in renewables, but we really want to be present in that sector. We want to invest in wind farms and photovoltaic farms. We're not limited in terms of the formula. We want to secure our investment, that's for sure. Long-term agreements are preferable, but we're not limited in terms of the project accessible. Either after auctions or before, we are interested in ready-to-launch projects, ready-to-build projects, but also we're working on some projects that need more time to be prepared to build the farm on the plot. Also, there are some problems relating the legal issues of the investment. And well, answering to your questions, we want the IRR on our capital, and we want a project to secure energy for our clients. Adam Roguski, Rzeczpospolita Parkiet. How do you evaluate the residential sector, considering you want to go back? The times are interesting as always. Is there a volume that you are aiming to create? You have 400 apartments now. This is the first step. As I said, we're not only aiming to residential building. I'm not going to talk about the scale. We're not going to recreate a big organization like Budimex Nieruchomości. We're looking for opportunities. We have some surplus we offer to the people that have plots some mitigation of construction risks. We have experience. I don't want to talk about the volume. As you said, the market is interesting, and we see it as highly interesting. And if there are more projects to build, we are prepared, and we're prepared for large scale financially, but we're not going to create a big organization like Nieruchomości was. Also, we want to be flexible. We want to be flexible in our actions, so we're going to act accordingly to the situation on the market, and that's where we're going. And we are going to buy some ready-made projects and plots with permits, which makes it much more quicker. As you said, the perspective in 2025-28 are very good. Is there a risk of too much work, of harvest disaster? We're always complaining as a nation, but I would like to say that we don't see this possibility. We're working a lot with our own workforce. We're creating more and more potential in terms of employees and machinery. There are going to be some companies that gain some contract without according potential, with a potential to execute it. I would like to say that we have this indexation system in the contracts, and years before there were contracts without indexation system, and the companies weren't able to mitigate those risks. And what we are willing to achieve, we would like to encourage everyone to eliminate this limit of indexation, just like in the foreign markets. Also, adding to that, there was a gap in railway, so we don't see any accumulation left. In roads, there were, many contracts, many bids placed, but some of them weren't attributed, weren't decided yet. And I think the distribution is going to be quite even in the market. Also, the inflation is going to slow down the private investment, so I wouldn't expect that much of accumulation in 2025-28. Marcin Wróblewski, XTB Broker. You've mentioned the certification in the foreign markets. In Poland, we've been discussing that, and you do participate in that discussion. Could you tell me what is the process? Where is it going? What are your expectations in terms of the certification process? Well, 2 years ago, I have to admit I was wrong. I wasn't aware of how difficult it is to get contract in the foreign market. We've seen how the neighboring markets are defending their own markets. and how there are
lokalne firmy
um,
biorą pod uwagę tylko i wyłącznie
easier on local companies, not only considering the price. And what we're trying to do is to convince the clients, and our goal as a sector, not only as Budimex, as the whole construction sector, considering what is happening in Czech Republic, Slovakia or Germany, what we're trying to do is that not only the price would be a condition of the selection of contractor. As you see, Poland is the biggest working site right now, and also we're the most open market for every contractor, which causes that there are many companies that come here from different markets, from Asian markets, that are not aware of the policies, legal requirement, and the reality about the works. I think the certification we're going through in Czech Republic and Germany is a time to consider, to study, to get to know the conditions on the market, and also it mitigates the risk for the contractors. It gives you time to prepare yourself for the works. In Germany, let me say that we've been obtaining the certificate 2 years, and the cost of the certificate has been, well, the cost itself is not that big. You have the procedures to fulfill, but a company won't be able to work without their own resources. We have to invest in machinery, we have to invest in training, language trainings. For this initial package, we are going to invest 6 million zlotys without counting the machinery. And this situation is going to cause that the companies that are going to do the work with a company that has their own resources here and now. Because here in Poland, we may be competing against a company that has only references from the Asian market with no machinery, nothing at all, and the price is the only decisive element. I think the certification widely understood may change this situation, and we're going to try to achieve that. Also, in German market, our employers have to have employment contracts, have to pass an exam, language exam. We've had this certificate in June, and in 6 months' time, we weren't willing to place bids, because if you place a bid and the client considers you unprepared, they retract your certificate. So you have to be very responsible and think very well before starting the works. Thank you. I hope this was satisfactory answer. More questions from the floor? If not, we're going to pass on questions online. There aren't much of those. First of those is in the fourth quarter of last year, Budimex reported a high gross margin. Is it possible to maintain in 2024, and can it be treated like a point of reference?
Były jakieś istotne wyrównania kontraktowe z Generalną Dyrekcją Dróg Krajowych?
Were there any payments from the GDDK that elevated the margin? Fourth quarter is not representative for a construction company, may be very good or very bad. This one has been very good. There were some annex signed, and the indexation was put up. fourth quarter may be different. It depends on the weather. Also, it affects the profitability. It affects revenue. So never look at the fourth quarter as some forecast for the next year. You might see the whole 2023 as a forecast to what is going to happen in 2024. The next questions about values of the contract in foreign markets. 8 billion in foreign markets are included in 13 billion of contracts awaiting signature, and does it include Rail Baltica in Latvia?
Nazywaliśmy to na prezentacji.
Yes, there was the slide. Latvian contract is 4.8 billion.
Kolejne pytanie
Zlotys.
dotyczące kosztów ogólnych zarządu.
Overheads. Another question is about overheads. The overheads have been growing according to the
dużym wzroście sprzedaży.
sales dynamic.
Efekt ekspansji zagranicznej, a jaki
What's
jest efekt
the
presji
effect
inflacyjnej, wynagrodzenia
of the expansion, and what's the effect of the salary pressure? Yes, there should have been some operating lever. The overheads costs should have been under control, but there is an inflation effect in the effect of new markets expansion. We are paying some additional overhead costs. We have startups like mobility. We have to invest in people that are going to carry out the real estate projects. It all affects the overhead costs. I don't know how much of it is due to the expansion, but yes, as the answer to your question, it all affects the overhead costs, inflation, and all the related. This is a general question and a general answer.
Kolejne pytanie zadane online dotyczące FB Service.
FB Service, another question online. How is your portfolio for 2024 in comparison to last year in terms of value and in terms of different divisions, and what are the changes? First of all, the portfolio in our sectors are quite different from what we have in the construction. For instance, the environmental service part of our portfolio is the waste brought to our plots and landfills. As for the portfolio easy to control, we have 800 million zlotys, which is a comfortable situation for 2024. The biggest two contracts we've had for the waste management in two cities in Poland, we've already were informed that those contracts are going to be expanded in 6 months. So the situation is quite safe, and our installations are going to be full this year.
Czy w międzyczasie jakieś pytania?
Any more questions from the floor?
Nie widzę. Dobrze.
No.
W takim razie przejdziemy teraz do pytań, które były zgłoszone
So,
wcześniej.
the questions that were placed earlier in the market.
Następujące.
We have questions from the press release after the results. We may see that Budimex foresees a stable margin in the next 2 or 3 years. What are the opportunities of an upside? Are there opportunities of a higher margin? The first half of last year was quite low in that respect. As Marcin said, you need to see the whole year and not the quarters of it. It's important. The weather is important. Considering the upside, we might say that the contracts we have signed are robust contracts. As you remember, after the war in Ukraine started, we declined to sign some contracts because there were dangers to the margin. Those contracts we have now are very robust. If we are going to be able to improve the margin, I don't know. There are always new challenges, old problems disappear, new problems appear, but we have an EBIT at the level of 8%, which is quite a lot. Obviously, we're going to do our best to make the margin even higher. Next question. What was the effect of one-offs over the revenues and the profit? In a construction company, it's difficult to say if it's a one-off or not. A claim in a court that we won, is it a one-off or not? From time to time, we win some of those. But considering all of it, I don't see a real one-off in all the events. There were some annexes signed. There were some exceptional events, but there was not one-off that affected the margin. Although I would like to mention an improvement towards the income of the next year. We have a forward valorization, very good result here. These are like 30 million of DTC contracts. So in my definition of a one-off, there were no such events. Next questions about foreign markets. What revenue from foreign markets is foreseen in 2024 and 2025? May the margin in those markets be different from the Polish market margins in this period? I would like to add that foreign markets are freshly signed, so do not expect a lot of revenue from those contracts. These are going to be between 150 and 200 millions. In 2025, between 300 and 350 in terms of revenue. In terms of gross margin and comparison to Polish market is a new market in organization. Obviously, the gross margin is going to be lower than the Polish market margin. Renewables, next question. It's short question. What's the pipeline of the new projects in megawatts for this year? In megawatts, we're going to finish projects of about 17 megawatts, and we're going to start projects of about 70 megawatts this year.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you very
Kolejne
much.
pytanie,
Next question
też nadesłane tutaj przez analityków i inwestorów.
from the analysts
Co
and
powinno być
investors.
motorem utrzymania
Which,
marż
what
na wysokich
is supposed to be the main margin driver in next year? The last year it was the annex signed in GDDK, which is going to improve your margins this year and the next one.
Podkreślić, że każda z naszych
I would like to stress that every division in this company has a
pościgów naszej
positive
całej spółki.
margin.
Tak jak powiedziałem, właściwie każdy kontrakt należy
Each contract you have to analyze separately. And with this volume, these are 220 contracts. Some of them have lower margins, some of them have higher margins. There are no contracts we drag with some negative margins. Are there any new expectations, petitions from the floor?
Czasem pytania rodzą kolejne pytania.
Sometimes a question gives room to another questions, and I will read the next questions from the list.
Patrząc na obecny poziom portfela zamówień oraz kontrakty w poczekalni,
Think
jakiego
the
wzrostu przychodów oczekuje Budimex w tym roku?
current
Jaki
portfolio,
portfela zamówień jest do realizacji?
which part of this portfolio is going to be executed this year?
Pracujemy, że nasze przychody
This year, the revenue is going to be similar than the last year. They may be a little bit lower.
uzależnione
Much of it depends on administration permits. Many of the contracts that are in our portfolio is design and build in the design phase. For the design phase, the election don't help. We were expecting to be already carrying out the works, but there are some contracts that are still in the permit phase. So at that point, it's difficult to say what the revenues are going to be. As you see, year by year, we've been growing between 5 and 6%, and our idea is to carry on with this strategy, but this year is complicated in that respect, and the permits are affecting our revenues.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you.
Ostatnie pytanie,
Last question
które mamy tutaj w
we have here.
I takie pytanie można powiedzieć i odpowiedź podsumowują
A summary of sorts.
i
Could
perspektyw,
you please
zarówno jeżeli chodzi o
evaluate
konkurencję,
the market
jak i sprawność po stronie głównych zamawiań,
and your competition and agility
szczególnie
of clients
w administracji.
considering the changes in the administration and also EU funds in the market? Let's concentrate on our company. We have very good perspectives thanks to ongoing analysis and thanks to our strategies. You might see the portfolio is record-breaking.
Ponad 15 miliardów, co było naszym, co będzie.
We're going to reach 50 billion until the end of the year.
Oceniamy bardzo
So this year we see it in a very good manner, and we have no fears for the next 2 years. So short term
oceniam to bardzo
and long term,
jeżeli patrzę
this is a good situation. For the whole segment, construction sector, it's going to be a challenging year.
zdecydowanie mniejsze
Last year there were less tenders because of the lack of recovery funds and the inflation. This year is not going to be easier in that respect. The new government is conducting audits, so are there going to be less tenders? If you see the general direction GDDK in the first 3 months, there were no new tenders announced.
Zapowiedzi
They're announcing
postępowania
215 kilometers of tenders versus 500 from last year.
tam 50 kilometrów to są drogi szybkiego ruchu.
90 kilometers are expressways, the rest
To będzie
the bypasses of towns and cities. So the tenders, there are going to be less tenders than
znacząco
the last year.
przyspieszeniu proces postępowań przed PKP PLK.
PKP is going to
I z kolei
make the tenders
dalej
short, is going to be less complicated.
wiemy, że środki KPO na pewno
There's going to be some acceleration, and the recovery funds are going to help with that, but the whole procedures until the closure is like 6 months. We need to remind that. So this year, the competition is going to be very aggressive in the Polish market, and we're not going to participate in war of prices. So in short terms, the contractation is going to be complicated. Okay, so we've finished the list of questions. I give the floor to the CEO.
Szanowni Państwo, bardzo dziękujemy.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Please forgive us for taking so long, but summary of a year
Zapraszam wszystkich.
are a lot of there's a lot of positive information. I invite you to take lunch with us. We're here if you want to talk to us and bring on some topic. We're here for you. Thank you very much.
Robert. Dobra. Szanowni Państwo, zapraszamy na lunch na poziomie pierwszym.